My father, known as H. Lloyd Leno, was a huge influence on my life. From the time I was a little kid, I remember having great admiration for my father. He was a great musician. He directed the concert band at Walla Walla College, now known as Walla Walla University. He was just an incredible person, and he set the standards pretty high. Now, in order to be a good musician, you do have to be a perfectionist. I mean, it goes with the territory, right? You can't really be a good musician without some perfectionism. My father was not only a good musician, he was a very religious person, very devout person. That, along with his music, was a great influence on me. My earliest recollections of my father's religion is that he was pretty exact, and it kind of, in some ways, probably matched the perfectionism that he brought to his music profession. I don't have what you would call a conversion story, because I was raised by very religious parents whose parents on both sides had been very devout Seventh-day Adventists. So for me, not being able to really see myself from the outside, I don't really remember a time in my life where I was not a believer and then I became a believer. Interestingly, though, I do remember seeing my father change over time. Now, he remained all of his life a perfectionist when it came to music, but his perfectionism in his devotional life, in his spiritual life, was, shall we say, replaced by something far more important, and that was his view of God. Now, instead of seeing God as a perfectionist, my father saw God as a loving father. My father had always been a loving father. I don't want to give the impression that he changed in that respect, but I believe that his growing understanding that his heavenly Father is a loving Father, and that the character of God was more important than just about anything else in his life, including his music even, changed him in ways that I could only see later in life. It's only now, looking back on knowing him in his life, that I fully appreciate what his spiritual journey really was at the time. So the legacy of my father, the influence of my father on me, was not just that I became religious and a musician, although I appreciate both of those aspects. I think one of the biggest, most important influences that I received from my father was to see the Heavenly Father in a better light, in a new way, in a refreshing way, in a way that made me feel accepted as a child of God. Growing up, I was never in doubt that I had a place in my earthly father's family. And partly because of my father's spiritual journey, today I do not doubt that I have a place in my Heavenly Father's family. My name is Mike Leno, and this is my story.
I'm Pastor Tara Van Cross, and we're so glad that you've tuned into our Azure Hills Church YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe, and click on the bell so that you'll be notified every time we share new videos. We are so glad that you're here. Until next time, please know that we're praying for you as you continue to be a voice of hope.